My name is Sophia Vartanian. I'm 16 years old. I'm an urban farmer and I love food. I love eating it, talking about it, and cooking it. But growing it. Do you know who grows your food? Up until recently, I had no clue. A year ago, I didn't know the first thing about farming. I was pretty healthy and I ate organic because that's what my parents gave to me. But I didn't care if it came from California or from my own garden, from some industrial conventional farm or a sustainable urban one. Then I found out about this place out in UBC, the UBC Farm and Center for Sustainable Food Systems, and that summer changed everything for me. I started volunteering there regularly on this organic, sustainable farm right in the middle of Vancouver. We'd be harvesting kale and Swiss chard, handling eggs and herbs, yanking up beets and carrots, and selling it all at our weekly markets. I started seeing all the glaring problems in our food system, about how organic isn't enough and how local food systems really need to come to center stage. But I also started to see how it's all just a wonderful opportunity for change. When I walked into the grocery store now, I had this equation in my head that I'd made up of how it was grown plus how it got to us equals food on our plate. I started wondering what's the most sustainable way to go about agriculture and what's wrong with it now. First off, what is agriculture? Agriculture is the science and practice of farming, and it has a lot of power over us, the soil, and the planet. Once we started cultivating crops, we had time to settle down and start thinking about things beyond our next meal. Because of farmers, we have democracy, the Golden Mean, Socrates, the American Revolution, Harry Potter, and the Dalai Lama. Because of food and farmers, we have civilization as we know it. But we tend to look to our cars or our credit cards to blame for climate change. We're missing out on the problem right under our noses, on our plates. Let's take a look at our average plate. It's not organic or local or anything like that. We have some chicken, a handful of greens, some carrots, and a baked potato. Let's trace it back. At the beginning of the season, genetically modified seeds were planted in nutrient-deficient soil, and those are going to become the mush for our chickens, our greens, our carrots, and our potatoes. These seeds are watered constantly, making irrigation the largest use of fresh water on the planet. Soon fertilizer is heaped up on these seeds, and excess nutrients inevitably run off and find their way into water bodies, where they create biological marine dead zones where no life can be found due to the overload of nutrients. Soon, pesticides and herbicides and fungicides are applied to the crops to keep away all the bad bugs and weeds. They keep away all the good ones too. After the harvest, in either the fields or the slaughterhouse, our food is sent off to begin its long journey to our plates. A journey of 2,400 kilometers on average, fueled by fossil fuels and piping out greenhouse gases all the way. By the time it makes it to our plate, it's not even really food anymore. That dinner clocks in with a weight of just under 9 pounds of greenhouse gas emissions. All of this comes together to make agriculture the greatest emitter of greenhouse gases on the planet. The University of Minnesota's Institute on the Environment calculated that farming accounts for 30% of the entire world's greenhouse gas emissions. That's more than the whole world's electricity or transportation combined. And all of this to give us food that's toxic, lifeless, and polluted, not to mention jet-lagged beyond belief. So we have one piece of the equation. We can go back to determining sustainability to that equation I introduced to you earlier of how it was grown plus how it got to us equals food on our plate. Firstly, how it was grown. There are other ways of growing that are better for the environment, for the planet, and our bodies, as well as our farmers. There are some amazing sustainable farming practices out there that build on organic. These practices say that we have to work with the land and its ecosystems to get our food, not wage war against it. They look to strike a balance between nature and agriculture to get food that's good for us and for the planet. So we have one piece. What about the other, of how our food got to us? Half of the world's population lives in cities. Here, 82% of all Canadians can be found in them. Our food is traveling thousands of kilometers just to reach our plate, already having soaked up loads of oil and water and nutrients. We're living in deserts of food. It's time to bring food back into our cities and reinvigorate our deserts. It's time for urban farming. And this is where our young farmers are coming in. There is a movement out there, and it's slow and subtle, but it's there. University students to Generation X are touching back down to earth again, in our cities. These urban farms and their young farmers are leading the way in bringing new life into our food system and food into our cities. Let's get local. What urban operations do we have going on here in Vancouver? Who are our urban farmers? What are they up to? And why should we be buying from them? First off is UBC Farm. UBC Farm is a really special place for me because it's where I spend most of my time during the summer. We have over 300 varieties of crops growing, from bull's blood beets and kabocha squash to ruby streaks and blueberries to heirloom apples and hop yards. However, no two urban farms are the same. UBC Farm is unique in being a very large urban farm with over 24 hectares right in the middle of UBC. Also, no two urban farming stories are the same. Manning UBC Farm is a really young staff, an awesome bunch of people who all came to sustainable agriculture from a variety of different angles. We have an abundance of urban farming initiatives throughout the rest of the city too. There's Young Agrarians, an awesome organization that's doing great work to create a resource hub for all these young farmers. Both here in Vancouver, where they're based, and further afield, they're working to help build this movement of sustainable agriculture. There's your local food peddlers based out of Strathcona. They're an urban farm that focuses on growing great microgreens that they deliver to restaurants, farmers markets, and grocers via bike only. Look at Soul Food Farm, the biggest multi-site urban farm. They're right outside, also near Science World, the biggest multi-site urban farm in Vancouver and maybe Canada. They identify as both an urban farm and a social enterprise, offering employment and empowerment for downtown Eastside residents. There's Fresh Foods Urban Farm Society. They've recently signed a partnership agreement with the VSB to start establishing small schools on school grounds. Van Tech is the first school lined up to get its urban agriculture makeover, so keep an eye out for that. Inner City Farms, like all the others, is growing and harvesting a great range of veggies off of the lawns of homeowners that it struck up partnerships with. Think about that. Off of a handful of lawns across the city, Inner City Farms is running a business offering local organic produce to Vancouverites. This is the sustainable food of the future. Growing in a city, you get people thinking, hey, I could do that. As we continue our mass exodus into cities, we'll be getting fewer and fewer opportunities to be in direct contact with the land and our food. Sustainable urban farms gives the opportunity to connect with the natural world and the natural part of ourselves while relieving stress off the planet. Most of us aren't even aware of the punch our plate packs. Most of us aren't even aware of the punch our plate packs. With every bite of conventionally grown produce bursting with dirty oil, we're eating away at our planet, our future, and our farmers. With every bunch of fresh carrots, dusted with dirt and picked up from our local farmers, we're walking lighter on the earth. Getting to know our farmers is one of the best things we can do for the environment. So head out to your farmer's market. Ask yourself, how's my food grown and how did it get to my plate? Meet the face behind your food. This movement will grow. Sustainable urban farming is a practical solution to climate change. Both our health and the planet's depends on what goes on in our farms. It's time for us all to get to know our young farmers a little bit better. Thank you.